It's always a good thing to introduce children to the RC hobby, and that's where a buggy like this comes in. Hey Boxing, also known as HBX, sent me this, but calm down, it's not a paid promotion to try and sway my opinion, and anyway, I find it impossible to lie. So with full transparency, we have to consider it retails at £69 in the UK, and it is supported with spare parts and upgrades. That's not a bad start, is it? So let's take a closer look to see what you get, and then I'm going to get my 10-year-old son to test it out, because he's really the target audience for this type of thing. It's ready to run, but to finish the look, you get to add the stickers to the body shell. You just need to remove the protective film first, but that's pretty obvious as there's a big sticker on it telling you to do so. The box says 14 plus, but that's unsupervised. So if an adult is the one who's going to be charging the batteries, you can let younger children drive it. It's bordering the line of hobby grade as parts and upgrades are available, but as you'll see later, this thing being so lightweight and tough, I wouldn't worry too much about breaking it. If you refer to the manual, it has the full list of part numbers which you can order from their website, so keep hold of it in the rare event that you need something. Also, if you don't see the part on the website, you can send them a message quoting the part number from the manual and they're going to help you out. After you've opened the accessory bag, attach the wing, which is dead easy, and they even provide you a screwdriver to get the job done. It's very flexible, so you're not going to have any worries about that snapping. You've got LED lights up front, a combined ESC and receiver with LiPo cutoff, and that's a great feature, so you don't have to worry about draining the batteries completely flat, as that would ruin them. It's got a metal prop shaft and metal drive shafts, which is great to see at this price point. And I like this bumper design, which will work really well at absorbing impact. Remove this warning sticker once you've read it, because you don't want to leave that on. I didn't notice the brush motor ever getting hot, but it does come with this heatsink, which is a nice touch. The shocks are not oil filled, unfortunately, but they are adjustable. Although putting more tension on the springs will only make them more bouncy, so I'll be leaving the collars at the top. A quick drop test. You can see it bottoms out at the back. It's a shame they didn't send me the optional oil shocks, so I could have tuned it a bit, but I suppose at this price point, a parent or grandparent who is not into the hobby and buying it for a child wouldn't want to be maintaining oil-filled shocks. Should the parent or adult in this situation be an RC hobbyist, these are the optional oil-filled shocks if you wanted to get hold of some. Anything I talk about, I'll add links in the description. When I was looking around online, I found this brushless version, so you might want to take a look at their range on AliExpress, as there seems to be more models available compared to on Amazon. You need to add tax to the price, and it usually shows what that would be, but you can also see it at checkout before you decide to buy. Anyway, back to this buggy. I found it tricky to get the body on until I put the back on first, as it needs to drop in behind the wing. Then it will just fall into place. Charge up both batteries using the supplied USB charger. Yep, you get two. One in the car and one in the accessories bag. You plug it into this white connector which will balance charge the battery cells. You'll know when it's fully charged because it will stop flashing and stay green. It takes just over an hour for each battery, and you get at least 20 minutes run time on each one. You might want to take the spare body clips with you just in case.
Body clip gone.
And then you're ready to roll, apart from putting in two AA batteries in the transmitter, which you need to supply. The general rule is to turn the transmitter on first, and when you're done driving, switch off the car and turn the transmitter off last. When you first turn the transmitter on, don't hold the trigger down, as you have to let it bind to the car. Also make sure the tracking knob is central for the first time, and then find a flat road, and if it doesn't go completely straight, you can tweak it and then it will be set for every time you use it. There's no dual rate for the steering, which means you can't adjust how responsive it is. And that is a feature I miss on this kit, but I'll cover that a little bit more later. Most transmitters, like this one I have, use a wheel for the steering, but HBX have made this one look like an actual steering wheel. My son picked up on that and thought that was a nice touch. When the battery gets low, the front lights are going to blink as a visual indicator, and the car's going to come to a stop. And this is when you need to turn the car off, and of course, then your transmitter. Once you get home, remember to unplug the battery when it's not in use. Right, let's get driving, and the first stop is the woods. There are flintstones embedded in the ground, not to mention all the loose ones scattered about. And together with the sticks that like to find their way into the axles and wheels, it can be a bit rough, especially for a small scale buggy like this.
There's a stick. Put it out. Right in there.
Was there?
Yeah. They just get in places you don't want them.
When driving in a large area, I miss having something with a bit more speed, but for a child's first RC car, I think it's ideal. And although my son has bigger and faster RCs, he really seemed to like driving it. Suspension's not too bad, it'd be better with some oil shocks, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It's definitely slowing down now. What'd you rate it so far?
Like 8.9 out of 10.
8.9 out of 10?
Actually, 9.4 out of 10.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's really fun.
On this surface, it's a bit unpredictable, but that's got to be expected. It's very light and small, so it does get thrown off track with all the debris scattered around. I even find the same issue with my 110 buggies, which is why I prefer to use monster trucks in the woods. It didn't stop us, and we used up both batteries on this visit as my son wanted to keep driving, hitting the mountain bike jumps and generally ripping it about. It took a bashing and nothing broke, so it definitely seems durable. So let's go test it on some more forgiving ground. I had fun taking this out on my own for a bit, but I did find myself wanting a bit more speed, but remember, I'm not really the target audience. It's aimed at young kids. It does crazy donuts, which is more important, and goes fast enough for them to have fun whilst being tough as nails so parents and grandparents don't have to worry. Surprisingly, where I find it really comes into its own for me is on-road. I know that seems a bit odd, as it's an off-road buggy, and despite being tiny it holds its own off-road, but on-road it seems faster and more responsive. The steering can be too responsive, which is when I miss having the dual rate option to adjust that, but it kind of adds to the enjoyment and craziness of zooming it about. It's okay when I'm filming and driving one-handed because I can't max out the steering anyway. I have found myself going out with this once the sun goes down, zooming it up and down the road, on and off curbs, and it is great fun. And the front lights let me know which way I'm going if it gets a little bit too dark. It's nice driving something without worrying about it breaking. We've had this for about 3 weeks now and used it a fair bit to make sure we tested it long enough to highlight any issues. I did clean it after each use to remove grit and dirt, but that was just a brush and a wipe down. But other than that, I've not done any maintenance. I do miss the dampening of all shocks, and yeah, I would like a bit more speed, but I am into this hobby. With all things considered, I think it's the right price for introducing children or grandchildren to the hobby. And like me, you may not want to let them loose on your more expensive Tamias that you've poured your passion into. So this, or perhaps the brushless version, could be the answer.